been a long time since I've done one of these vids, hasn't it? You know what else has taken a while? The US doing things in the World Cup. Still can't believe it, but they're moving on to the round of 32. Look, it's not much, but we're not exactly known for this kind of football, so we'll be insufferable. The desire to hit up games and events throughout the land piques my interest. Summertime's here and I've got a bad case of cabin fever. For me, my solution is SeatGeek, the sponsor of this video. With over 70,000 events to choose from at any given time, it's perfect to find a match in a whim or long term. The RAF sorts all available tickets from red to green on a 1 to 10 scale. It gives me a view from where I could be sitting. And everything's backed by their buyer guarantee. If only using the code TREE can help bring a World Cup to America. We'll just settle on saving 20 bucks off your first purchase. That's why SeatGeek's been my go-to for tickets to any event I desire. Honestly, for well over a decade at this point. I know why you're all here. You want to dunk on a miserable franchise. Who am I to refuse such a request? Hey Vancouver, do you remember how much you enjoyed that legacy of failure on the Leafs? So much vicarious joy and wonder, the hilarious draft hijinks? Guess what? It's your turn, bitch. The curse begins with expansion, in between many other expansions into the National Hockey League. You join the Buffalo Sabres in this quest, and the first overall pick will be decided by wheel spin. In ironic foreshadowing, Vancouver gets their hopes lifted to be blue-balled at the final moment. Buffalo secures Gilbert Perreault with their grand prize. The Canucks settle for Dale Talon. A taste of things to come. The boys club of the NHL is so elated to see Vancouver that they chucked them in the Eastern Conference. Chicago's moved to the West for a feast. Canucks are a token sacrifice and punching bag in a loaded division. There will be no playoffs for almost half a decade. The league itself isn't going to be the only adversity they face. Wayne Maki was one of the first top-line players on the Canucks. A man who looked to have a bright future with the club but was tragically robbed of life by brain cancer. His number is unofficially retired and fans embrace his legacy for time eternal. Just too damn short for our tastes. Turns out the NHL finally put on their thinking caps and reassigned the Canucks to a much more geographically convenient division. Reduce travel and easier opponents get them upstairs to pop their playoff cherry. Montreal's taking your V-card. A rather regrettable first time. Making it back to the playoffs guarantees nothing. Only to be washed away by an unforgiving sea known as the Islanders. That's how bad it was. They're land-based and they got crushed. At least they get to be middling in some sense of style, right? What new sleek designs do they have in store for... What the fuck is that? Kill it! Kill it with fire! Did you enjoy that 2-course playoff tasting? You're gonna have to pay extra for the full experience. Having to transition between cores leads to 2 more years of no playoffs. They got one-upped by the goddamn Colorado Rockies for a spot 1 season. What the hell does that happen? Welcome back to mediocrity, Vancouver. You get all the fake thrills of playoffs without any of that pesky winning that comes with it. Bullied into the dirt by Flyers, gashed by expansion rival Sabres, and that was so nice you came back for seconds the very next year. Some decade you had. Yippee-doo, the Canucks backdoored into the playoffs yet again. And all it took was importing a few Czechoslovakians and the mediocre Harry Neal getting suspended for being too handsy with fans. Roger Nielsen got fucked over in Toronto, but he's getting them to do this winning thing, so he'll be named permanent head coach. It'd be a lot more exciting if Kevin McCarthy didn't start training at the Hart Dungeon in the middle of a game. Best defenseman broke his ankle and is out for the postseason. Turns out they didn't really need him. Vancouver's winning multiple playoff series? Something's wrong, this feels illegal. It appears it is illegal. The refs are in on the fix. Dollar bills bribed them, apparently. All of British Columbia's about to riot. Even Roger Nielsen's pissed at these zebras. Do you know how hard that is to do? Well, there's the white flag. You know the rule, Canucks. Ref puck reigns supreme. Or does it? There's magic in that damn town. A fairy sprinkled some pixie dust on every single one in the building. Vancouver rallies and embarrasses Dollar Bill all the way back to Hawk Vision. They've made the finals. Stan Smeel emerging as a cornerstone carrying the franchise on his back. Cinderella runs are special. Cherish it, boys. Did you seriously expect to be competitive for the Cup this year? Look, the Islanders are a machine without equal and you're just another hog to chuck in the meat grinder. This series was over the moment the puck was dropped in Game 1. Like a hot knife through butter. Don't get too down, the Owls have taken out teams much better than you in the past. Get some more of those rally towels, you'll be good. Those assholes in Calgary stole the towels? I thought you boys had them under lock and key. They lose their talisman's power, they lose their control over the Flames in the first round. Did you really have to grant that Backwater City revenge? Look, Roger, you're a good coach and all, but you're not getting this team over the hump. The Tulaks and only 2 points out of last place. This whole players coach mantra ain't working for Harry Neal anymore. They aren't gonna force you to put a paper bag over your head, just get out. Sure, sue the team for breach of contract, the Canucks just need a jolt. The move did little to shake things up. Losing relatively consistently is one thing, but losing to Calgary in the playoffs for a second straight year? That's a bridge too far for this franchise. That cup run may have been a fluke, but management's getting desperate. Limbo is a hell no one wants to be in. Desperation leads to disaster. Like the man with a restraining order, he'll do anything to talk to his unrequited lust. Even if it means his arrest. They yearn for a PhD in hockey. Pride, hustle, desire. From Kamloops, Bill LaForge is here to punch faces and intimidate his opponents as a 32-year-old head honcho. Prototype Mike Keenan. That's all you need to know. A drill master who uses the power of fear over teens coaching professionals? Come on, how bad can it be? Oh my god! It's even worse than I imagined! There was more success adding water to electricity. LaForge might legitimately be a saboteur. Intimidation works with 15-year-olds, not 10-year vets. Ruining careers, dude literally ended Darcy Rodas with his archaic drills. What even was the plan here? 2 separate 9-game losing streaks? Canning LaFraud after 20 games? When mediocrity and Harry Neal is the savior, things are fucked. Take that start, amplify that by 5. You have the year. Patient Zero Neal's also given the axe. A much-deserved beheading. Greatest news to hear is that you made the playoffs thanks to a shitload of ties. A beautiful word in the English language. Default. Hope you enjoy that extra game or two of playoff revenue. The Oilers and Gretzky are gonna pummel you like the Islanders did a half-decade ago. Wave the white flag for real. It's obvious the Canucks need a franchise center. Like a man desiring a Jappa dog, Vancouver needs to gamble at the big boys table. Barry Peterson's an electrifying player that needs to be brought back to British Columbia. Argue that he's not the same after major shoulder surgery. Vancouver doesn't care. They'll offer some pyrite to bring him on board. Boston's gonna be duped with Cam Neely. He's garbage that backchecks like my great aunt. There's no need to worry about him doing anything in that black and gold. So all Cam needed was a change of scenery and a style suiting his strengths. Barry Peterson isn't anything close to his pre-surgery days. One of the most lopsided trades in NHL history by this alone. Lovely.
Oops.
In their relentless quest to find an elite center, they ignored the other glaring issues on the roster. Barry doesn't elevate the team as they hoped, and it results in a hot date with dead last in their conference. What do you mean they traded this year's first to Boston for Peterson too? For fuck's sake! And that 3rd overall pick is turned into Glenn Wesley. Absolute masterclass in buffoonery's more like it. I wonder if they bribed Ulfie years down the road to do what he did to Cam out of sheer embarrassment. Same shit, another year ripped off the calendar with no playoffs. Please insert more coins into the regular season machine. The good news is that their first round pick wasn't traded for Barry Peterson. Trevor Linden is drafted as the new face of the franchise. I'd say that pick worked out. Vancouver finally makes it back to the postseason thanks to Jets crashing in agony throughout Winnipeg. There's only one caveat in such a bounty. They have to play an Alberta team. One that should be wiping the floor with them. Even with the overachieving Canucks squeezing every last bit of ability out of themselves, it'll not be enough to quell the flames of fury. Like Stan Smale and Tony Tanney robbed in an overtime Game 7, the optimism falls into dread and copium.
Oh, you don't understand, Tree. Toronto kicked the puck in. Those cheating Albertans cost them a chance at going places.
Face it, they couldn't score with a damn. They weren't doing shit this year anyways. Eat a dick.
Ow!
Probably bitching because Calgary proceeded to kick serious ass on their way to a Stanley Cup. All of British Columbia, like days of Oilers before them, must serve the realm of those fucking Albertans. A fate worse than death. To beat those fuckers to the east, the Canucks must look to their neighbor to the west. It's becoming a new age. The Iron Curtain's collapsing. The floodgates are opening to those filthy commies. In the first wave, Vancouver's getting 2/3 of the KLM line. Igor Larionov and Vladimir Kruton. One of these guys adapted to the NHL and the other didn't. I'll leave it up to you to guess which one. Speaking of Soviets, there's the off chance that they'll allow anyone to go to the West. I'll not take a gamble on drafting uber-talented Pavel Bure. It's only a 6th round pick. Let the rest of the league protest the selection. There are loopholes to exploit in the name of hockey. The horrible era is over. Barry Peterson botching's been shipped off in a trade to Pittsburgh along with Tony Tanney. Here's your complimentary Dan Quinn and another change of scenery. Turns out Joel Otto apparently kicked the puck in on this season as well. There will be no playoffs in British Columbia. Like Kruton's weight issues, nowhere close. Alberta gets another cup, however. It's obvious that's the true glory to be had. Also, Peter Nedved. Doesn't do shit for their season, but 2nd overall picks are nice. There's also a blood cost in drafting Nedved. The cornerstone Paul Reinhardt is stepping away due to chronic back issues. 1 step forward, 3 more back. So you remember that Dan Quinn consolation prize? St. Louis has a massive hard-on for him and the Butcher's grits, to the point of horrifically overpaying for everything they entail. Say hello to 2/3 of your new top line, Vancouver. Cliff Ronning, Jeff Courtnall, Sergio Momesso, and more. Fleecing. The lopsided deal does not avoid the fleecing at the hands of the Great One. Gretzky happened again, this time in a different country. Kings watching on as Stan Smeel is sacrificed in front of a live audience. Some things unfortunately never change, do they? Losing to Edmonton is the throwback that never gets old. For Edmonton, even without a huge chunk of their dynasty stars thanks to Pocklington's cheapness. Even as the favorite in the series, the Oilers love nothing more than squeezing the life out of Canucks in the second round. This time it's with Russian Rockets and Czech younglings going cold. You had Randy Gregg defect from there for this? So Igor Larionov's been successful here, but there's a problem. The remnants of the former Soviet Union are still taking part of his salary. Unwilling to play ball with these fuckers, Igor does what every expat eager to clean their money does. Go to Switzerland. A year under the radar from those pesky Russians, and boom, he's good to go. Just not with you, Vancouver. He's off to San Jose? Did you like that incredible regular season you had, Vancouver? Blazing speed, the impeccable depth, the playoff darling status. Wayne Gretzky's gonna fix that up for you in a flash. Bow down to the Kings, baby. You will pay the tithe to Alberta. Either to them or by proxy. Peter Nedved's a traitor as well, eh? Wants more money? In this economy? Well, St. Louis likes our fallen senators, so they can poach him for a price. We can turn that into Jeff Brown and more. Pavel Bure's a good lad. He won't piss them off like this anytime soon. Finally, the moment Vancouver's been waiting for. An impeccably deep playoff run excoriating demons past. The Flames extinguished in hilarious fashion for British Columbia. 3 straight overtime wins, driving the knife in them in a double overtime Game 7. Exposing Dallas to the flying elbow of a Russian rocket. Bitch slapping those elitist Ontarian fucks to cry in the ashes of Ballard. Another Stanley Cup Finals appearance awaits, and this time it's not a fluke. The Rangers have an over half-century cup drought. They can wait a little longer. Is this the part where I'm supposed to mention that New York has a bunch of former Oilers on their team? I think it might be. They're up 3-1 with home ice in Game 5. We need more rally towels. It's the only way. This is a hell of a lot more like it. Vancouver wiping their ass with rags in convincing fashion with momentum headed back to the Garden. Try making another fucking guarantee, Mark. See how well that goes for you. The guarantee wasn't in Messier. It was in bowing down to anything that has set foot in the province of Alberta. Poor Trevor Linden was doing everything in his power to will the Canucks to a win, but it was for naught. Their ambitions fading like a Nathan Lafayette shot hitting the post. Decades of failure will be avenged, just not for them. It will be with Mike Keenan's creation of former Oilers and Blackhawks. MSG exonerated in one fell swoop. But that doesn't mean celebrations won't take place in Vancouver. You know what the solution is for a painful loss?
Rioting time!
Hundreds of injuries and over $1 million in damage. Now that's a parade. Pain or not, Vancouver's machine's still running full steam. The quest for another cup run will never be stopped. Unless it's by Chicago. With 3 overtime losses out of 4. This must be karma by the hockey gods for the Riots. It's obvious the Canucks need more scoring touch. Here's a riddle for you. What's better than the Russian Rocket or Alexander McGillney? Having both on the same team. High-end talent is what leads to championships. Getting those two together again? Give me a cup, I want to practice engraving their names on it. Pittsburgh's also in the mood for being fleeced. Craig Patrick is desperate to find the next Kevin Stevens and is losing his mind. He thinks Alex Stoyanov's playable in the NHL. Sure, we'll take this supposedly damaged Marcus Naslund off your hands. It might take a bit for him to thrive, but it's a very lopsided win. All the talent in the world to bring a cup to Vancouver takes a massive step backwards. It started with the Russian Rocket perk being disabled by torn ACL early in the year and Rick Lee canned 6 games before the playoffs. It didn't get much better there. Unfortunately for the forwards, they're running into Patrick Waugh. The Canucks are buried under a relentless avalanche in 6 games. Why does it feel like the window's closing? It shouldn't be closing. No, we're close, right? Continuing tradition as West Coast bridesmaid, Colorado has gift-wrapped a Stanley Cup on their first charge in Denver. Look on the bright side. They were originally from Quebec, not Alberta. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So the Canucks are at a crossroads and need an elite playmaker for Bure and McGill. Turns out an old enemy of theirs may be the answer. Remember Wayne Gretzky? He wants nothing to do with the Blues due to their asswipe in charge. He's interested in spending his twilight in Vancouver, taking a complimentary role while Trevor Linden remains captain. It's all but set in stone after a meeting with Team Brass, too. The great one as a Canuck. Honestly, I could see it. So let me get this straight. Gretzky is all but ready to sign. You have a cordial meeting and just have to hammer out the finer details. So why the hell are you ringing him up and forcing a decision to be made at 1 in the fucking morning? Just wait until breakfast time. It's not that goddamn hard, you dolts! Congratulations, you pissed off the great one and the deal's null and void. And to further twist the knife, he signed with the Rangers. Well done, you're still taking L's to teams based out in New York. Yeah! The whole year is a Gretzky-style botch. Ownership was apparently demanding wins at 1 in the morning all season long. The team with Owen aspirations forced to bend the knee repeatedly. Playoffs? What playoffs? With that atrocious team defense and net minding? With the lingering head injuries to Bure? Are you out of your mind? The only certainty is impending doom. Break glass in case of panic? Already done. Well, Vancouver, they failed to catch the Great One when he was in the palm of their hand. But don't you worry, they're finally gonna take a pound of flesh from the rags in free agency. The sloppy seconds of Mark Messier! You gave that dude a blank check! Phantom ownership residing in Washington, Wayne Mackey's number 11? He's rock-dogging you guys! No! Defying Mackey's unofficially retired number unleashed voodoo curses. The early returns of Messier's entitled reign have only guaranteed literal hell on earth. New ownership in John McCaw wants to make splashes and fall into the typical traps of such an enterprise. When you start out 4-13, it's kinda justified. Look within? God no, they need to lop off heads! The only thing Pat Quinn and Tom Rennie are earning is a car ride down a cliff into the Pacific. Vancouver needs an iron hand. Captain Mark will pull a few strings and introduce the vigorous coaching of Mike Keenan? Did you not see how much of a disaster he was in St. Louis? Is this reparations for him not getting the head coaching job back in '84? He's getting unlimited power again? Okay, perhaps I'm getting ahead of myself. Messier and Keenan did win a cup against this team. Let's be serious, how bad can it be? Oh my god! What the fuck have they done to Trevor Linden? So not only do they strip him of the captaincy for reasons of Messier's colossal ego, he's committed the grave offense of existing. Iron Mike's gonna humiliate him at every turn. Castigated on an open fire for months on end before being exiled to rot in a Long Island. The fan base obviously takes this news with acceptance and understanding. They legitimately should. The deal turns out to be one of the best in franchise history. Brian McCabe and Todd Bertuzzi become staples in Vancouver. They got what Cam Neely should have been here. I don't know how the fuck this happens, but a broken clock is right twice a day. You were wondering about the season? It pretty much played out like Trevor Linden's Realm of Chaos. Absolute underachievement, more known for soap operas and Keenan's axe lopping off heads in the name of cronyism. So now you figure that giving Iron Mike absolute power is a bad idea? The Blues send their regards. The Canucks need a real GM in the worst possible way, so look to the NHL for answers. Literally. Brian Burke's a promising candidate in their offices, he'll do. So how the fuck does this get worse for him? On fucking cue. Good job, you pissed off Pavel Bure to the point where he wants nothing to do with the franchise. All the trials and tribulations, and you just had to trade his good friend Gino Ojic for shits and giggles. I hope you're happy with the Messier and Keenan show, Canucks. Your cup window didn't just close, it slammed shut in your face. Team Russian rockets blasting off again! For good. Pavel Bure's long impasse with Vancouver has gotten him a one-way ticket to the tax haven of Florida. Panthers are pretty desperate for a superstar that'll put asses in seats. The Canucks did net Ed Jovanovski in return. Jovo Cop tends to be pretty good at holding down the law on his own end. What a shocking revelation. Mike Keenan doesn't mesh with Brian Burke and gets fired after losing a power struggle. Who the fuck saw that coming?
You suck!
Scars of Iron Mike remain and are long to heal. Take last year's debacle and repeat it with an embarrassing scandal involving trying to fuck over Peter Cecil, losing their identity and goal-scoring prowess all in one. And that includes Alex McGillney, limping to the offseason by losing 11 of 13. Are Canucks fans planning to riot again? It might get them more Marcus Naslins to emerge. Or Messier to stop acting like an entitled cunt nugget. And this time it's revealed to the world that Brian Burke has a fetish. He lusts for sultry Swedish twins. With several high draft picks, the opportunity is there. Little wheeling and dealing, plus with a wink and a nod to Atlanta, they'll have their exotic Sedins. Henrik and Daniel, together they shall remain. And together they'll bring a new age of Canuck hockey. This new age does not involve Alexander Mogilny. What to say of his time in Vancouver other than incredibly frustrating? Scoring was inconsistent and he couldn't gain true traction or chemistry as a Canuck. May he be trapped in New Jersey where he'll rot in a Stanley Cup contender for the foreseeable future. In return, they get this Brendan Morrison cat. Turns out to be pretty good, so not a total loss. You know the drill by now. Canucks still dealing with the sins of 97, torture and rebuilding all the same, miss the playoffs and see the Mark Messier ruining everything he touches. In any particular order. In other news, Mogilny regains his mojo and wins a cup with the Devils. Why the fuck couldn't he do this here? It's finally over. Mark Messier's arrogant, entitled reign of terror has been vanquished. Please go back to New York and boss everyone around with your faux leadership. We'll gladly let the door hit your ass on the way out. Liar! All aboard the West Coast Express. Shedding the cancer of Messier has led to good fortune in Vancouver for once. Brian Burke has this whole vision thing that they lacked under Keenan. It may be full of grit and truculence, but those are good characteristics of a team. The playoffs have come back into view. A beautiful sight. The West Coast Express tragically crashed in the Rocky Mountains. They got swept off the tracks by an avalanche. And I don't know if having Marcus Naslund or Andrew Castles would have helped. Colorado don't give a fuck. Ray Bourque's got a cup to win, baby! Even after finally righting the ship, there's still a void. It's hard to describe, but past injustices must be fixed. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Trevor Linden. He was butt-fucked by the regime that will not be named. And he hasn't found a true home since being traded. Trevor's place has always been here, and it shall stay that way. There will be no more Iron Mikes to ruin this moment. Guiding light of Linden leads them back to the playoffs and a date with destiny. Heavy underdogs against the literal all-star team in Detroit, but don't tell that to a team with upsets on their mind. The Canucks silenced a giant and swiped 2 games at the Joe with all the momentum in the world. The power is in their hands.
Baby!
Oh. Well, that accidental dumping goal's just a blip on the radar. They should be fine, right?
Bruh.
The Lidstrom goal horde round the world got the wings to wake up. Detroit shits on them from an almighty perch as the significantly better team for the remaining 4 games. No need to turn off the lights, the players broke them while playing soccer beforehand. And this is the part where I tell you the Red Wings would go on to win the cup. They were too loaded to fail.
What?
West Coast Express 2.0 is better than ever. The mistakes of the last postseasons are being rectified, making St. Louis sing the blues by overcoming a 3-1 series deficit. Even better, the big boys are being knocked out. The Wings are gone. The Avalanche got taken out by the Minnesota fucking Wild. A neophyte franchise. Vancouver knows how to deal with them. A 3-1 series lead of their own will make sure of that. Who do you think they are, the fucking Blues?
You choked to the Wild? You're telling me you choked? Why the hell are you giving up goals in mass to a team that couldn't score at a hooker? You had a goddamn 2-0 lead in a home game 7 and you imploded like that? This was the best team assembled in a decade and it falls to some old trinkets in a trap system. God, fuck you. Just fuck you. Get the hell out of my sight.
You blew it. Capiche?
I see you were too busy imitating the San Jose Sharks last year, but this is a chance to rectify that fuck-up. The Canucks are as strong as ever. And Tom Bertuzzi, a true punch to the lineup. Jesus Christ, Todd, you're supposed to be imitating Neely, not McSorley on Brashear. Well done, you ended Steve Moore's career, got charged with assault and are suspended for the remainder of the year. I hope you're happy with yourself, Bert. Fucking moron. Of course, Bert has to be out in a series against the goddamn Alberta team. It's the same shit as the past. Take a page out of history. Vancouver takes on the Flames with everything they've got, fighting all the way to a decisive 7th game. Then the Orca gives you that little morsel of hope.
Morrison comes right on the front. Morrison scores! Naslund dashing in. 10 seconds left. Marcus Naslund to the net. Stop. Scores!
And he's Bertuzzi with Matt Cook filling in. Yeah, even I can't believe that. Joe Cop got busted by ED209. The inevitable happens in OT.
Gimel off the boards. Here's Yell's shot. All big. Another huge. They score. A rebound.
Did you really expect anything different? Would have been nice to be around to play games, wouldn't it, Bert? May the 4th be with you all. Vancouver is the Death Star. Brian Burke is Alderaan. His lust for truculence being blown out of existence due to repeated playoff failures. Perhaps he can use the lockout to learn how to tie a wins or not. Vancouver spent this entire window choking every opportunity away, so it makes logical sense to miss the playoffs entirely for once. Why wait to collapse when you can do it after the Olympics? 33-26 before that point, implode on ice to finish with a roughly 500 record by the time April rolls around. What a lovely, lovely sight to see. Now you realize Mark Crawford's an overrated paper tagger? Now you realize you have no goaltending worth a damn? And right when the Sedins finally broke out and turned into franchise cornerstones. Give me the phone, I got a call to make. Joe, get me the Panthers on the line. Hey, Aaron Mike, how's Florida? You owe us for all the bullshit you pulled over. Bertuzzi's reputation's taken a nosedive since sucker punching Steve Moore, and you've got a hard-on for him. How do you feel about a reunion? You want to? Okay, cool. What do you think of return? You want to give us your franchise goalie and Roberto Luongo? Oh, that's funny. I needed a good laugh after today. It's a deal, Mr. Keenan. We'll throw some other stuff around and make it official. Enjoy your power forward for all 7 games in Sunrise. Another celebration's taking place. The impatient John McCaw era is officially over. We're now under the Aquilini dynasty in Vancouver. For better or worse. This change in ownership and franchise goalie in tow calls for a special reward, being the bridesmaid to another Stanley Cup winner. This time, the only prescription for Luongo's case of the shits is made by a quack doctor, out-muscled and out-gritted by ducks in Orange County. They were built by Brian Burke in his image, and they go on to win his long elusive cup. And he still hasn't learned to tie a wins or not either. So things got a little hairy last year, but like many seasons in this frustrating decade, Vancouver's in right position to get blown out in the playoffs yet again. Merely hovering around 500, but maybe this is the year. The West Coast Express isn't what it was, but these wheels can still hold on. The wheels completely fall off the train as they lose 7 of 8 to miss the playoffs. What a shitty fucking decade to perpetuate a shitty fucking franchise. The rewards for stalling out in the end are great. Marcus Naslund and Brendan Morrison depart in free agency, and Trevor Linden is sacrificed like Stan Smeel before him. The West Coast Express is officially shut down. Although it technically did in 2006 in favor of Swedish twins. Dave Notice could rot in the scrapyard with the trains. Top defensive prospect Luc Baudon may have had a disappointing season, but he's still very young and very, very talented. Growing pains are common. Look at the Sedins. The Canucks look to him as a franchise defenseman for years to come. Oh, shit. Robbed of life way too young. I don't even have anything snarky to say. This fucking sucks. Out of the ashes of Linden and Baudon comes a drifter from a faraway land. Some poor souls call it Toronto. Matt Sundin talked a big game about retiring as a Leaf, until the opportunity to ring chase came along. Vancouver will give him something that those failures in Ontario never could. Let Leafs fans cry into their 67 vintage. They've got themselves a regular season of terror to bestow upon hockey. It is a damn strong regular season, finishing with Foreman clubbing more Blues to death in a 4-game sweep. That's some fine momentum, boys. That incredibly strong momentum is undone on the second charge. With 3 straight losses to a young dollar bill-less Blackhawks squad, Matt Sundin will not get his wish of a cup. He'll wander off into the same abyss that Sittler, Clark, and Salming have before him.
Bye, Felicia.
But you look at that, it's another damn strong regular season. The usual suspects are at hand. Sedin dominance. Henrik won the Art Ross, for God's sake. Bobby Lou at his peak, making the Kings bow at your feet in the first round. It all leads to a nice reward. Bowing down to those Blackhawks yet again. And would you look at that, they also won a cup and broke their long stretch of failure. No matter how things change, Vancouver somehow remains a constant. Perhaps this year will be different? Maybe? I get it. You have to face the Blackhawks and they've bested you in recent Aprils, but this is different. 3 straight wins to take full control of the series. Look, this isn't Minnesota. Just get one goddamn win and move on. Or get completely blown out of every orifice. That's great. Use an enema and clean the stench of failure out. What the hell? Alright, which one of you erased System 32 from the hard drive? Good. The team managed to reset and are scoring goals again. It's finally a fight after 2 games of nothing. Overtime with Bobby Lou pulling fireman duty after Corey Schneider couldn't hack it. I think trends are pointing in the right direction.
Olsen. Nice stick handling. Out to Chalmers and shoots. Oh, good save, rebound, score!
For God's sake!
We're under attack.
Home confines. A 1-goal lead. Stifling the Blackhawks' offensive attack on the power play with minutes left in the contest.
close this the fuck out for once in your goddamn lives.
Jonathan Taves for Chicago. Tries to make it happen. Here's Hossa. Stop by Luongo. They score!
You're taking the piss. You're seriously doing this now of all times? Fine, blow the fucking series. The hell I care about your unfulfilled ambitions. Just play us out and be memed to death.
Dumps the puck back in. Campoli has it. Flips it. Burrow steals. Cutting in. Shoots. Scores!
Okay. That's a way to do it. You've induced dozens of heart attacks across British Columbia, but you've staved off complete humiliation. Clean slate. Let's forget this near total descent into memedom ever happened.
They've slayed the dragon!
The rest of these playoffs go a little bit easier for the Canucks. No borderline humiliation, simply catching predators and impaling sharks with a spear all the way to the finals. The main cost is still an eye injury to Manny Malhotra, but it's more than undone with a fluke Kevin Bieksa goal against San Jose. Sucks to blow, Sharks. It's Vancouver's time to get revenge on Boston.
Oh, well?
The ultimate heavyweight matchup. This is brutality defined. Canucks and Bruins beating the ever-loving shit out of each other on a frozen pod. Injuries piling up like bodies on the field of war. And they're mostly on Vancouver's side. Dan Hemhughes hurts himself on the opening charge of Game 1. Mason Raymond decked out of the series thanks to a Johnny Boychuk hit. Rome's attack on Nathan Horton unleashed the Boston Hornets' nest. Battered and bruised by a team with size and strength. Bully ball on ice, yet the tide is turning. The Canucks are just too talented to go down quietly. They've won 3 of the 4 games needed to lift the ultimate trophy in sports. 2 chances to get it done. They have enough left in the tank? It won't happen at TD Garden. Blown out of the building with a 4-goal first period by Boston. Another Game 7 is at hand, this time in British Columbia. Hobbled or not is no excuse. If there was ever a time to have the game of your lives, this is it. What the hell is Nathan Horton doing to the pristine Vancouver ice?
Someone stop him! Stop him!
Canucks proceed to lay a massive egg on Boston-blessed ice. Their energy had been spent. Defeated by the scepter of the Barry Peterson trade and a pest known as Brad fucking Marchand. Boston kept them in a stranglehold until dead. There will be no avenging ghosts of 94. They'll merely join them in hockey limbo. There's only one way to respond to such relentless and demoralizing ass-kicking.
It's raining time!
It's not us honest Vancouverites taking part in the carnage. It's those ruffians from Alberta. They're the ones making an embarrassment of this city on an international stage. Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night.
What?
Rick Rippon isn't the most talented player out there, but he wears his heart in his sleeve and puts everything on the line every shift. A guy you can't help but root for, fighting both players double his size and clinical depression. This past year was a rough one for him, but with Rippon getting the help he needs, it's an inspiration to us all. And if he's gonna play with the Jets this upcoming season, we wish him the best. And Rick succumbed to his demons. I know Rippon wasn't part of the team anymore, but what the fuck? How much tragedy can a franchise take? This kind of shit isn't anywhere close to normal. After an international embarrassment, the Canucks are forced to look from within. Even with the talent and skill on their roster, it's not enough. They have to overhaul to be more prepared for the playoff grind. Only one objective searing in their minds. Beat Boston. Canucks are built to counter their every step from top to bottom. And look at the bounty it's brought. Winning the President's Trophy for the first time in franchise history. Arguably the best team assembled, even better than 03 and 94. This team's gonna come running at their opponents like a flying elbow from Duncan Keith. What the fuck is this bullshit? Los Angeles Kings squeaked into the playoffs and Vancouver's an incredible favorite to win in convincing fashion. And by God, their postseason is groundbreaking. They get bitch slapped around all series. By an 8 seed. They only won a single playoff game as the regular season champions. Turns out when trying to beat Boston, they couldn't beat anyone else. Fucking perfect.
You had it all and you blew it.
If there's any silver lining, nobody solved Jonathan Quick. Kings beat the living shit out of everyone that stood in their way. Becoming the ultimate Cinderella story, finding their glass slipper that is the Stanley Cup. It's not easing this thing at all, I know.
Oh, good for you.
Fortunately, the team's locked out of winning in the playoffs entirely this go-around. San Jose's gunning for revenge after that Bieksa goal a few years back. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. Are you bummed? You've gotten your asses beat by the Kings in the next round. Vancouver methinks you've got a deadly case of desperation. But Roberto Luongo's been publicly griping about a trade and Corey Schneider's waiting in the wings. So the obvious answer is to trade Schneider? I guess Bo Horvat's a decent consolation prize. Seriously, what the fuck are they doing? Alain Vigneault was the right coach back in the mid-2000s. Not now. He's done nothing more than reside over more choking and failure like Crawford before him. Serves this team right for trusting a former assistant of the Senators of all teams. He'll find more work as a retread. The locker room needs a firm hand. Not an iron one, we learned that lesson. John Tortorella is Mike Keenan, but significantly better in every way. Repeating the same mistakes in the past. This time it's gonna work. Seriously, how bad can it be? Oh my god! Which is an absolute fucking disaster! He might actually be worse than Bill LaForge. At least Bill got canned after 20 games. The only fight this team's showing is John going after Bob Hartley outside the locker room. The Canucks don't mesh with Mount Tortorella's fierce style whatsoever and flame out of playoff contention in hilarious fashion. Firing Schwartz and eating $8 million in the process? Vancouver didn't have a choice. Even John was saying he deserved to be fired for this pathetic display. Mike Gillis you can go to. The Aquilini dynasty demands it. There's a part I'm missing, isn't there? Don't tell me Torts pissed off Bobby Lou. Yep, he pissed him off. John started Eddie Lack in the Heritage Classic, and Roberto stormed off like the rest of the team should've. Turns out Luongo was just an 8-year rental. He's back in Florida 2 days later with late fees attached. Tortorella really was Mike Keenan 2.0 here.
Mission failed.
As we said, Trevor Linden's home is always here. He's an upgrade over Gillis and Hockey Ops. Got up season ticket sale somehow, kids. What Vancouver needs is a wunderkind of scouting. A managerial prospect of strong reputation and truculence rivaling Brian Burke. Better yet, a former Canuck. From Boston, Jim Benning is the man that... I'm sorry, I can't say that with a straight face.
Oh, shit.
With their opening salvo, the new regime takes Jake Vertan in 6th overall in the draft. This man will have absolutely no controversies in his career. He was exonerated in the court of law, there's nothing to discuss here. Besides him being a flop. Oh, by the way, Ryan Kessler's on the outs too. Why are you bitching? His body's gonna fall apart in him in a few years. Do you see this decent prospect named Gustav Forsling? I don't either. Henning isn't gonna notice if we switch him without him Clendenning. He'll think it's an upgrade even. Under the gentler hand of Willie Desjardins, Vancouver proceeds to rebound enough to make it back to the playoffs. Traditions are best kept alive. And by that I mean losing to Alberta teams and any remnants lingering in organizations around hockey. Seriously, you're being tactically spanked by this iteration of the Flames? You haven't won a playoff series in a fucking decade! Could have used Bobby Lou instead of Eddie Lack this time around, couldn't you? Welcome to Trader Jim's, where wheeling and dealing for gross overpayments is a gold standard. Benning wants Brendan Sutter, he'll get Brandon Sutter. The trade itself looks fine on the surface, but the massive extension after? That's where the genius is. Sutter might suffer a career-ending injury by the end of it, but there's a no-return policy. What they traded was nothing special. Nick Menino just became a folk hero in Pittsburgh. The Calgary series was so nice that Vancouver proceeds to get tactically spanked throughout the regular season. The pride of Canucks hockey has morphed into mediocrity. That's putting it nicely. So Jim, what are you going to do with that butcher knife in your hand? He tends to play Pavarotti when he's dissecting his unwitting prey. Every note swims in Benning's mind. Big physical specimens create perfection. Vancouver needs to get good. Ransom for their back end. Jared McCann's had 2 years of development. That's more than enough to gauge what he can be. The master scout and architect of Boston always makes his mark in the NHL draft. Think of the physical specimens available. A Kachuk fell in their lap. This pick is obvious.
With the 5th selection, Vancouver select from the London Knights, Ole Ulevy.
Taking a massive bust who failed to develop instead. Benning's truly thinking outside the box here. His true prize is the great whale of physicality and power. Milan Lucic needs to come on home to British Columbia. The heir apparent to Todd Bertuzzi, destiny fulfilled. Being paid the big bucks to spend his prime years in Edmonton? They're still losing to Alberta teams? Okay, so the Canucks lost out on their Grand Orca whale. Fine, his style of play is gonna have him fall apart in a few years anyway. Enjoy your albatross. Time for plan... E? I think? Louis Erickson's still pretty damn good, though. And he's from Boston. The Sedins do need a new wingman, and he fits the bill. 6x6 is steep, but come on, he's a proven player. How bad can it be? You know, I really have to stop saying that. The scoring winger that can't score anymore. Albatross Contract Supreme. If their competitive window didn't die last season, it's officially been chucked into an incinerator. Steep descent of the Jim Benning era and a piss-poor vision leads to the abyss. They can't score. They can't defend against scoring. Michael Chaput and Jason Megna are taking turns on the fucking top line. That alone should have gotten Desjardins insta-can. The only 20-goal scorer this season is Bo Horvat. That's all you need to know. At least Benning didn't fuck up the draft pick this year. Elias Pettersson's a good get. Take last year's ineptitude and more or less duplicate it. It's a shitty team that can't do anything right and Benning's on empty. What's new? This failure to launch comes at a cost, though. The Sedins are going off to that great Swedish twin island in the distance. More team legends squandered. The scattered ashes of these greats leads to the growth of Quinn Hughes in the draft. Souls for souls. The transaction of life. Did I mention Jim Benning still here? Great, he still believes the team's close to contending when they're nowhere close. The man's lost his mind. Loaded contracts to Jay Beagle and Antoine Roussel. Two aging bottom sixers turn out to be cap anchors in 2 years? I, for one, am absolutely shocked. Trevor Linden's using logic and wants the Canucks to properly rebuild. That's illegal in this town, buddy. Remember what happened with you and Iron Mike? Same shit applies 20 years later. We'll say it's an amicable departure, don't worry about the PR. See, the Canucks don't need to rebuild. They already have a strong prospect system. They just need to overgestate for another 3 years while being held back by awful Benning contracts. Vancouver still sucks ass, but there was improvement. This calls for celebration. More terrible contracts! Start off with bringing in a firebrand, a proud American with abrasive traits and a possibly toxic personality that definitely won't come into play later. JT Miller has untapped potential as a superstar and as a leader. He may be groaning at the thought, but look on the bright side. He's not Mark Messier levels of cancer. Eric Goodbranson's tenure was a majestic failure. But you know what they say, when you stop trying, it means you've given up. Tyler Myers doesn't give up. Benning won't either. $6 million per year for 5 years? Think of all the culture building. Milan Lucic wasn't available despite his decline, but they can get the next best thing. Michael Ferland for middle six snarl. His contract isn't tragic, but his Canucks tenure is. Injuries ended his career early on. Thank God for insurance. What did I say earlier? The Canucks don't need no stinking rebuilds. The regular season's one thing, but Vancouver found fire on the COVID bubble. That magic's gonna take them places, baby. Thatcher Demko has arrived, my friends. His elite play's gonna take Vancouver to the brink of the Western Conference Finals. Sure, let Vegas have a series win in 7 games. This is a time for positivity. The future is here. Now onward. Canada is theirs to conquer. Get out! You know the history of this franchise, right? Every time they're expected to be a key player, they imitate Bill LaForge and chuck a wrench at themselves. Sure, they could say they're socially distancing themselves from the playoffs. And anything resembling competence. You'd think Jim Benning would finally be axed, but Aquilini socially distanced himself from competence a long time ago. Trader Jim promises aggressive moves in the offseason. Oh God, how's he gonna fuck this up now?
Get ready, everybody. He's about to do something stupid.
You've heard of top-flight defensemen? How about guys that haven't been that since the Sedins were active? Oliver Ekman-Larsson's been regressing for years and has a terrible contract, but Arizona's willing to take on our terrible mistakes with 1 year left, so it's perfect! The idea of an elite defenseman and a complimentary Connor Garland is a further testament to quality. All we have to surrender is a top 10 pick for the trouble. You seriously expect the Coyotes to do anything competent with it? And the first round pick they shipped off was parlayed into Dylan Guenther. Fucking phenomenal. You paid how much to Tucker Pullman? This guy isn't even good. He had 1 fucking point last year. And of course, he succumbed to a career-ending injury as well. He's suffering from an autoimmune disease? Dear God.
And then things got worse.
In the repeat performance of A Christmas Carol, Aquilini is visited by 3 spirits. The ghost of Benning's past, the present of an early season freefall, and no future to speak of. It's years too late, but at least they did the right thing and cast him and Travis Green off onto East Hastings Street. Unfortunately, they couldn't tether 3 anchor contracts to send him to the bottom of the ocean.
Get the fuck out of here!
The Canucks can't recover from the horrors of Benning, and they can't trade another first-round pick to get them out of it. The terrible start sabotaged their season from the word go. Although they did have some decent form under Bruce Boudreau and Jim Rutherford, with Patrick Allvin as his understudy, they did finish off pretty strong. Maybe next year will be something. Seriously, how much worse can it get? Oh my God! If you're gonna fuck Bruce like that, at least use some goddamn lube! Seriously, you didn't just humiliate the guy, you salted the earth of his coaching career! Yeah, Vancouver was struggling, but he wasn't close to the main guy responsible for this. So the logical solution is leaving Bruce pissing in the wind for weeks on end while wooing his replacement in Rick Tocchet. Shit, where's the cup chair? Bruce, there it is! Your termination papers, that is. Speaking of cup chairs, longtime mainstay Bo Horvat's going off to play real hockey on Long Island. Hey, those were his words, not mine. The Canucks do not play real hockey. They struggle instantly out of the gate and turn into a shit show of shit shows. A nightmare rivaling 1997. Season is botched as Tanner Pearson's wrist surgery. JT Miller levels of cancerous volatility. Seriously chose him over Captain Horvat? As a result, Vancouver's scheduled to go under the knife for major invasive surgery to remove the rotting organs from within. No time for anesthesia, they have to rip open this festering wound now. The predictably terrible Ekman-Larson trade was terrible and he had to be bought out? Who could have seen that coming whatsoever? Is anyone all that surprised OEL went back to being a quality defenseman on a real team? Became a core piece to the Panthers' first taste of Lord Stanley. Oh, look at that. Bobby Lou's gonna be etched on there as well.
Success!
Nurse, I think the surgery was successful. The Canucks somehow survived getting 3/4 of their intestines removed and they've rung the bell of success. Yeah, that's meant for something else. Vancouver don't give a shit. No mercy for the Pacific or anyone else that's mocked them over the years. A strong, well-rounded team is their reward. It may be a complete fluke carried by the top 6 at their peak, a massive PDO bender and the bottom 6 shooting at a 20% clip, but who gives a fuck when the playoffs are in their grasp? Without that Demko due to a long-term injury. But Archer Sheloffs, my friends, he is too damn good right now. Nashville knows all about that shit, right? This season feels special. Everything's clicking. Connor McDavid and his Oilers? Step aside. Vancouver's on a heater and the only riot taking place is the one burning down Edmonton. The 3 games to 2 series league going to Alberta? Fucking salivating. And they got crushed in a hydraulic press. Oh well, the Canucks have home ice, so it's house money until then. Game 7 awaits. And the only thing that can stop them Of course they had to fall short against the fucking Alberta team again. Is this just meant to be their fate? Lorded over by some godforsaken generational talent as a stepping stone? It doesn't matter if they can make it a 1-score game, they can never get over that fucking rainbow! You think they'd accidentally stumble into success one of these times? Can things be fucking different? You got your wish, my friend. Perpetual blue balling of Vancouver will turn into black and blue drama rivaling a daytime soap. Elias Pettersson against JT Miller. They can no longer coexist in the same locker room. The personalities and playstyles violently clash. Fights during practice. Arguments behind the scenes. Chemistry of bleach and ammonia. Like catty high school girls, but somehow with more cancerous repercussions. Even old man JR fanned the flames of war in a press conference. Months of therapy and interventions have failed. And the Messier-esque leadership traits of JT aren't effective in Vancouver. He's got a gigantic contract, but the Rangers are delusional and think he can fix their sinking ship, so they can have him. In return, they get a first-round pick. That was immediately traded away in desperation for placebos. Also a promising center in Filipino, who keeps suffering concussions. A whale of L's for everyone! Wait, the Rangers made JT their captain? That drama was merely an appetizer before the main course of a cyanide pill. Turns out when the bottom 6 isn't shooting at 20%, everything goes completely haywire. Stumbling repeatedly into flames that burn them at every turn and miss the playoffs entirely. Oh, what glorious rewards there are for an inept Aquilini regime. They somehow didn't trade Brock Besser and he's an impending free agent. Thatcher Demko's morphed into a glass sculpture. Jim Rutherford's sitting in the corner mumbling about cups as he grossly overpays Kevin Lankinen. And more importantly, Quinn Hughes is a flight risk and doesn't want to go through a rebuild. Shit's so dire that Rick Tocchet smelled a rat and fled the sinking ship on the last lifeboat out. Don't blame him with the prospects failing to launch and so many free agents to sign. Good luck with that, by the way. They signed everyone? Even the long-rumored departure of Brock Besser was greatly exaggerated? That's honestly surprising. You know something? Maybe things aren't so bad in Vancouver after all. The team's completely visionless. Ownership and management refuse to rebuild. The core hasn't shown they can do it. Injury issues ripple throughout the roster, and Quinn Hughes likely doesn't want to return, but I have some hope. How bad can it be? You traded Quinn Hughes. With a year left on his deal for a bulk return of futures nowhere close to Quinn's ability. Why did I get my hopes up? If this doesn't symbolize pulling the plug in this dud of a window, I don't know what could be. Wait a second, he isn't going to New Jersey? It's the biggest surprise I've heard all day.
He was leaving anyways, okay?
The Canucks sucking complete ass, however, isn't a surprise. Such a shit show of a season that even the lowliest Mark Messier disasters couldn't touch. Somewhere in the afterlife, Roger Nielsen's waving the white flag on a stick unironically. This orca hit rock bottom without even trying to. Probably the most impressive feat this godforsaken franchise has ever accomplished. Shipping off Hughes was merely admission of a long-accepted fact. Vancouver is failure defined. Their goalies are an off-injured wreck rushed back from injury and a complete albatross of a backup. The face of your franchise is completely unmotivated and might be out the door in the offseason. Connor Garland's contract is already gone before it started, and all the while Brock Besser's sitting there realizing he made a huge mistake coming back. If you try to speak the truth about Francesco Aquilini, he'll revoke your press pass or be sued by family. No rebuilds, though. It's gonna morph into a retool with hybrid form, or whatever the fuck that long-winded gobbledygook is supposed to mean. Minus Patrick Alvin as the token scapegoat. Head coach Adam Foote was just fucking useless. He won't be missed either. The only silver lining is that this god-awful season should net Vancouver Gavin McKenna or Ivar Stenberg. If they lost another lottery, she'll bear parole all over again. And the only thing remaining is JR's grift of a ring. And he escaped on the seaplane in a cave. This misery's gone on for long enough. Let's tally up the final score. Canucks fans should unironically riot in the street for this bullshit. It's pretty much justified for this godforsaken franchise.
Serve a penalty, so the Canucks...
Oh, now Brashear just mugged Pekka right off the faceoff. Here they go again, and here comes Shields. Shields and Burke are coming out to meet at center ice, and here they go. Shields and Burke. Shields rips off Sean Burke's helmet and starts firing the right, and Burke starts firing punches